Hello, I am Olga Bezushko. Topic of the report: harmful emissions of welding aerosol during pulse arc welding of structural aluminum alloys D16.
Aluminum dominates manufacturing industry and is second only to steel in total industrial consumption. Aluminum is absolutely unique in terms of physical and chemical parameters, having the following characteristics: low density, lightness, ductility, resistant to corrosion, thermal and electrical conductivity. Why is welding aluminum challenging? Welding aluminum is unlike welding steel or iron. There are several challenges you should expect to run into because of the unique composition of aluminum. The greatest of these challenges is porosity and thermal conductivity. An aluminum and his alloy have a considerable sense to superficial oxidation on air. That is why their welding is conducted in the environment of protected gases, inert argon or helium, and their mixtures, to form a high-quality weld when welding aluminum alloys. Non-fusible and fusible electrode welding method. In an amine gas environment are more often used. Aluminum welding produces hazard fumes, which create significant health risk for the welder. Welding aluminum produces tiny particles of aluminum, aluminum oxide and other metals found in aluminum alloys, most commonly silicon, manganese, copper, zinc, iron, and magnesium. Numerous studies show that accumulate in the body, aluminum acts on brain cells, causes anemia, arthritis, suppresses the production of gastric and salivary enzymes, contribute to the development of osteoporosis and ricket. A welder can get sick with irreversible aluminoses, physiological change in the lungs that develop when inhale aluminum dust. In accordance with the international standards ISO 14000, welding material is subjected to new requirements for their continuous improvement in order to minimize the harmful effect on the human body, and according to the standards of the STU ISO 13011. Welding materials must be constantly monitored for occupational safety indicator. The implementation of measures to improve the working conditions of welding production works is above set on the analysis of data on the chemical composition, emission levels, toxicity of welding fumes. For this, a primary sanitary and hygienic assessment of welding materials carried out by the method of trapping welding fumes and determining their quantity and chemical composition. Process of the welding fumes. Under the action of the heat of the arc, a drop of liquid metal is formed and grows on the end of the wire, which is held by the forces of surface tension. Partial evaporation of the metal occurs as a result of the high boiling temperature of the metal and significant heat of the evaporation. Passes through the protective gas supplied to the welding zone. Part of the vapor might condense into droplets, oxidize and turns into small, solid particles of metal oxide, which form fumes and always surround the welding arc. The Institute of Electric Welding, named after E.O. Paten, conducted a study of the chemical composition, emission level, and toxicity of aerosol formed during mechanized welding of aluminum-based alloy using methodological standards of the ISO 50011 series. The purpose of the work is to carry out a sanitary and hygienic assessment of the nature of aerosol emission during pulse arc welding of structural aluminum alloy D16. Welding was performed with two brands of solid wire, IR 4014 and wire 2319, with a diameter of 1.6 millimeters, which is serial and certified and widely used in industry. The following indices of welding fumes: formation were determined, intensity emission, chemical composition of welding fumes, class of welding aerosol. As we can see, the intensity of welding fumes emission during MIG welding with ER4043 aluminum wire is directly dependent on the frequency of the pulse current superposed on the main direct current of reverse polarity. Thus, with increasing frequency, the intensity of welding fumes emission increase. Gross welding fumes emissions during MIG welding with 2319. Aluminum wire do not have a direct dependence on pulse frequency. The lowest emission values were recorded at the experimental pulse frequency of 70 Hz and the highest values at the frequency of 100 Hz. As we can see, a large mass of toxic element in the welding fumes MIG welding with aluminum wire IE4043 and 2319 consist of such components as aluminum, iron and silicon. The emission intensity of these welding fumes components increase with increasing pulse frequency. To determine the final estimated indices of hygienic evaluation of welding materials, the limit value of the welding fumes was determined by the following equation. The indicators of the hygienic assessment of welding materials determined by the calculation method according to the DSTU ISO 15011 standard are given in the table. According to the limit value of the welding aerosols, these wires belong equally to the fifth class. The calculated toxicity values have a slight difference. The conclusion are given on this slide.